Hello, welcome to Hockey Talkie. This is just a preseason update video. The Blackhawks are halfway through their preseason. They've played 3 games. They got 3 left to go. So let's discuss kind of what we've seen so far and what we can probably look for as we gear up towards the regular season here. With the first 3 games, the Blackhawks playing the Blue Jackets, Red Wings, and Senators, all 3 of those on the road. Blackhawks went 1-2 there, but once again, results don't mean anything in the preseason. It's more about individual performances and how guys do in certain situations and just kind of trying out different line combinations possibly and just seeing how young guys do and prospects trying to make the roster. That's kind of what it's all about, especially early on in the preseason because you got to make those cuts. Now, the Blackhawks will play those same 3 teams in the final 3 games of their preseason, but because of the aforementioned cuts, we're going to start seeing more and more NHL players play both on the Blackhawks side and the opponent's side. I would say the biggest storyline out of camp so far heading into the latter half of the preseason would come on the defensive side of things for the Hawks, with the injuries to Forsling and Murphy, and then also add to that Ruda being day-to-day. It looks like a door has opened for Henri Jokiharju to make this roster out of camp. At the beginning of preseason, that was a very hopeful prospect. Right now, that actually kind of looks like a lock. Like, that's almost 100% guaranteed to happen. In addition to that, it also opens up an opportunity for Adam Boqvist to also make the roster out of camp. Now, he still probably needs 1 or 2 years to develop before making it in the NHL and becoming a regular on the Blackhawks roster. But with how he's played so far in the preseason and also the injuries, he's probably going to get a shot to play a couple games in the NHL before he gets sent back down to the London Knights for his junior season. Staying on the defensive side of things, I've been very impressed so far with Gustafsson. I thought he has played very well, being kind of an anchor back there on a defense full of very young players. He's created a lot of offense, and he's been very confident with the puck. His defense still needs a little bit of work, but that'll come, I think. And like I said, he's kind of being forced into a higher-up role with a lot of younger players kind of playing with him. I've been very unimpressed with Brandon Manning so far. He's struggled mightily so far in the preseason. Edzo keeps giving him praises, but I have no idea what he's seeing. Maybe it's just me. But if I had to pick between Davidson and Manning, and Davidson being the one on the PTO, I'd probably choose Davidson to make this team. However, with the injuries, my bet would be both these guys make it. Moving on to the forwards now, I'm very happy seeing Kruger winning faceoffs again. He looks to be a lock as the 4th center. Hopefully for defensive situations and penalty killing, hopefully that can then let Jonathan Toews be more offensive this year. Now, depending on how many healthy scratches the Blackhawks choose to keep in their lineup, there's only around 3 or 4 spots that are open for players to compete for. And even though the training camp roster is fairly large right now, there's only a handful of guys that are still competing for those spots. To me, the guys that are still competing for these spots are Edsel, Martinson, Cahoon, Camp, Hayden, and Highmore. And if I'm being honest, right now, the odd man out would be Highmore. Now, there's still half a preseason left, so we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. And of course, there's always the possibility of injuries. Hopefully not, but there's always that possibility. So things can still change, but that's just kind of my thought. Those are my projections at this point in time. In other news, we have Corey Crawford doing 30 minutes of drills pretty much every day. Still not practicing with the team, but he seems to be getting better and better as the days go on, which is always a good sign. However, he's not going to be the opening day starter. I would be surprised if he actually played in the month of October. I think he's still a long ways away, but seeing him on the ice doing drills and getting better and better as the day goes on, the progress that we're seeing is definitely a good sign. So what that means is that Ward is probably going to be our opening day starter. And then there's a backup battle brewing between Delia and Forsberg. Now, Delia looked absolutely fantastic against the Senators in the half game he played, made some incredibly spectacular saves. We would not have won that game if he wouldn't have had the first period he did, because the Blackhawks got outshot like 14-2 or something in that period, and yet they were only down a single goal. Now, Forsberg didn't play bad in the appearance he had either. he let in a couple goals, but they weren't really goals he could really do a whole lot on. They were just good goals or tip-ins or whatever. And he didn't have a lot of help defensively in front of him. But he hasn't played bad. But both of them are going to be vying it out in the latter half of this preseason to see who stays up with the team, at least to start the year, until Corey Crawford comes back. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this preseason update video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think so far this preseason. Who has impressed you? Who do you hope will make this team? What are your prospects for the remainder of the preseason heading into the regular season? Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that as always. But most importantly, as always, stay safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you next time.